directs opposition to privilege in fundamental physics. Well, if we don't have a distinctive position or velocity or acceleration, or a separate origin from the other plants and animals, then at least maybe we are the smartest beings in the entire universe. And that is our uniqueness. So today the battle, the Copernican battle, is in somewhat covert form being waged on the issue of extraterrestrial intelligence. Now, this doesn't guarantee that there is extraterrestrial intelligence. It may be that Copernican insights, the principle of mediocrity, if you wish to call it that, worked for all these other things, but on extraterrestrial life, it doesn't. We are unique. I will come back to that later, but I believe that the ongoing Copernican revolution is relevant to this debate as well. There is today another battlefield on which the Copernican insights are being attacked. It is connected with one of the classic arguments for the existence of God, that is, the Western kind of God, namely the argument from design. The idea of the argument from design goes like this. Suppose you know nothing about watches, and you come upon an elegantly tooled pocket watch, and you open it, and everything is going tick, 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 tick. There are all those gears and levers and burnished brass, and such things are not made in nature. Therefore, the existence of such a complex mechanism, the existence of the watch, implies a watchmaker. Now we go and look at an organism. Let's take a very modest organism, a bacterium. Well, you look in there and you find a much more complex mechanism than a pocket watch. Bacterium has many more moving parts, much more information than what you would have to write down in order to describe how to make a pocket watch. And yet, the world is full of bacteria. They're everywhere, enormous quantities of them. And is it possible that this being, far more complex than a watch, arose spontaneously out of who knows what sort of collisions of atoms? Isn't it more likely that this watch also implies a watchmaker? That is one example of the argument from design, and you can imagine that every part of nature might be vulnerable to such an interpretation. Everything, that is, except utter chaos. Well, Darwin showed, through natural selection, that there was a way other than the existence of a watchmaker, a way in which it was possible for enormous order to emerge from a more disordered natural world without the interposition of any capital W watchmaker. That was natural selection. The ideas behind natural selection were that there was such a thing as a hereditary material, that there were spontaneous changes in the hereditary material, that those changes were expressed in the external form and function of the organism, that organisms made many more copies of themselves than the environment could support, and therefore that some selection among various natural experiments was made by the environment for reproductive success, that some organisms, by pure accident, were better suited to leaving offspring than others. Now, an essential aspect of this idea is that you need to have enough time. If the universe is only a few thousand years old, then Darwinian evolution is nonsense. There isn't time. On the other hand, if the Earth is a few thousand million years old, then there is enormous time, and we can at least contemplate that this is the source, as certainly all of modern biology suggests, of the complexity and beauty of the biological world. This sort of argument from design we can find in other aspects of nature, and I'd like to discuss two of them. One is Isaac Newton's understanding of the order within the solar system, and the other is the most interesting, although I believe flawed approach to the laws of nature put forth in recent times, called the Anthropic Principle. One of Newton's many extraordinary accomplishments was to show that, granting a few simple and highly non-arbitrary laws of nature, he could deduce to high precision the motion of the planets in the solar system. The Newtonian method has remained valid from that time to this. It is precisely Newtonian physics that is used routinely in my line of work, sending spacecraft to the planets, something that you might be tempted to say was far beyond Newton's expectations. But he in fact did envision at least the launching of objects into Earth orbit. Newton found